which you've got to put into it. So there are costs. The difference, though, between free and paid for is really quite important, though, because free, you're removing all of the barriers to entry for people booking it. So the idea is you want to get bookings. It's not about kind of how much you're going to sell. Even if you charged £1 for a workshop, you've still got to overcome that attrition of people like having to part with their hard-earned cash. Even if it's just £1, people still have to make this buying decision up here. So think very carefully about whether you're going to do a free event or a paid event. And then finally, the webinar. The webinar is the best one because you can do it for free. You can do it out of your back room, your office, doesn't matter, in a cafe or anything like that. You can pre-record them. You can do loads of fun stuff with webinars. I haven't yet gone down the webinar route, although ironically now I'm thinking that I can actually potentially use this recording as an evergreen webinar. Hey, I've just created a new product. Awesome. So, but webinars are great because again, you've got the opportunity to get multiple people in a room. You can handle any objections at that point, answer any questions, create a bit of a buzz and chat and things like that. Give away offers or paid for offers. So the next thing then comes down to what the person is going to get out of it. So for me, I'm very clear about kind of what the outcomes are going to be. So I give 3 of my my best tools for my coaching toolkit. Not my best ones; they're all good. But I give away 3 of my best tools during the seminar because I know that they're the ones that create a really great impact on the individual from a mindset perspective. So it's about kind of activating people's brains, opening their minds up a little bit and changing the perception to their own business. So that's kind of what I want my visitors to my event, my guests to my events to get out of that event. And you've got to be really specific. I know a lot of people are kind of like, there's a big hoo-ha about GDPR at the moment if you're based in the UK. And there are various people who have nothing to do with GDPR putting on GDPR based events. And you're kind of like, well, actually, there's an incongruence there between what you actually do and what you're going to be delivering during the event. So I think you've got to be really clear about what the guest is going to get out of that event and don't confuse them. It's got to work within your product ecosystem. That's something, if you want to drill down and know a bit more about that, then lean into the Business Startup group, Facebook group, or drop me a message and we'll have a chat about it. The final thing then is about, in terms of planning the event, is so step 4 is what's in it for you, what's in it for them. Step 5 is then what's in it for me. So I'm putting on the event, so I want to get something out of it. Now, I've put on my first event, cost me somewhere in the region of about £1,500 to put on. By the time I kind of nailed the Facebook ads and got the event structure format sorted out and got the offers sorted out in the room, the cost for that event, my last event, was just over £400, including that. So probably even less than £400. Now I know when I put an event offer out, how much each one of those offers is going to be worth. So the last event, I wanted to sell a 12-month package to the Fearless Coaching Program, the group program, plus a few extra gifts. I also give away a copy of my book during the event as well, so that kind of gets bundled up in the costs, I guess. That probably puts the costs up a little bit. You don't have to do that, but you can if you want to. And also, I kind of incentivize people to show up to the event, because then I'll do things like potentially give them access to my e-learning programs. You could sell an e-learning program in the room. I've done that quite successfully. At an event last year, I sold 10 e-learning programs in the room at £95 each, which kind of pretty much paid for that really expensive first event which I put on. That was cool. But really the event lifetime value for me is made up of sort of my various different product offerings. So the e-learning program, my group coaching program, and then finally one-to-one. So obviously it's the one-to-one clients who are kind of, they bring in the greatest amount of return on investment for me. So typically if I fill a room with 40 people, and this is where it's important to start to get to grips with the numbers and your conversion rates. And the first event you'll be shooting in the dark, but just call it information gathering, call it whatever you like. So my first event, I sat 76 people. I sold 10 e-learning programs in the room, which pretty much covered the costs. And actually off the back of that, I then got 2 one-to-one clients. One came on immediately, sort of in a month afterwards, and one came on. They said basically they weren't going to be ready for about 3 or 4 months, and the true to their word, they did sign up. Those one-to-one clients were worth about £5,000 each in terms of customer lifetime value. So for the sake of a £1,500 investment, which most of that I got back initially in the room, actually then I produced some in the region of about £8,000 to £10,000 worth of event lifetime value. So you've got to be really clear about what your products do and deliver, and how much event lifetime value you're going to create through selling your products at the event. That's the purpose of putting on free events. Really important to know that. So the next thing then, we drilled, just to kind of go into a bit more detail about the events. So there we go. So Fearless Business, double your turnover in 6 months. So it's kind of quite a sensationalist headline. There's the other bubble, which you can see here, is around free versus paid for. So I did, I always come back to free for the 2-hour seminars. It just seems to be the best format. It gets the best amount of engagement. People talk about it. They tag people in. Like, this guy's really cool. He's giving us some stuff for free. What you can do is you can do kind of upsells. So you could have like a, I don't know, a VIP package where people get to spend 20 minutes with you answering questions on a one-to-one basis. Or it could be that you have you could do upsells in there for your relearning program. So it's either free, or if you want free and to attend the event plus the learning program, it's like £9 or £19 or £29 or something like that. So make the event free, but you can have upsells in there. That's quite important. Next up, kind of, here we go. So this is then going into the details about it. So target market, service-based businesses, and what are they looking to, what outcomes are we going to create? So develop fearless goals, turn a service into a product, how the internet has broken marketing, and the 3 common pricing mistakes that businesses like yours make. So that people come into this like they're not totally blind to what it is that I'm offering. They know what they're going to get out of that 2-hour seminar. Other things I also throw in is half an hour's worth of networking at the start of it. So even if they don't like my presentation, well, they've had an opportunity to meet other business owners and talk to them about like what they do and stuff. And people love talking to people. It's fantastic. What is the result as well? How are people going to leave the room? And I tend to, like with mine, I'm kind of, it's a bit vague, but fearless in business. If you go to the event, you'll know what that means. Less stressed and laser focused, ready to kickstart your business. That's based on feedback that I've had from events. That's how what people have said when they leave the events. That's how they feel. So I've just chucked that in there, and then kind of a couple of calls to action. But first, you need to take part in a fearless business event. Come with an open mind. Maybe check out my book. Maybe check out the Facebook group. So kind of we're just again we're warming people up before they attend the event. Few bonuses. So if you do actually show up, you're going to get a free copy of my book. Well, that's worth at least $11.99. In fact, it's actually priceless because my book, Take Your Shot, is absolutely awesome. If you haven't read the book, you should. And then just, I know these are Amazon reviews, but again, a bit of social proof to say that, hey, actually, this guy's pretty cool. He wrote a book, and on a 4-hour plane journey, it totally changed my business. Lots of familiar ideas in the story, but compared it to a book called The Goal by Elijah Goldratt, who's an awesome author, and it's a great book. So that's really cool. Excellent book, some really key insights, easy to understand, highly recommend it. Now, if people think that about the book, they'll get a similar sort of effect because how I do my business, how I run my business, how I talk, how I dress, everything, there's a consistent kind of process there. So if people like get the reviews, if they get that far down the event thing before booking, they know kind of what they're in for, basically, that I'm an honest kind of guy. So next up, how do we calculate event lifetime value? So, excuse me. So essentially what you want to do is you want to work out how many free tickets you're going to give away. So it could be like 40. How many people do you expect to show up? Now, typically, because I've run lots of events, I know it's somewhere between 45 and 55%. Last event, I got 60 to 65%, which is pretty cool. Then you want to know what your conversion rate is going to be. So the conversion rate could be, well, like I said, if I had 76 people in the room and 10 of them bought the e-learning program and 2 bought the one-to-one coaching program, so I can work out what my conversion rate is depending on how many people I get in the room, and then finally what's the offer. So is it a breakthrough session, a consultation, is it an e-learning program, is it a book, is it what is it, how much is it? If it's a coaching program, fantastic, because then you'll have, or an agency, you'll have recurring revenue being generated. How long do clients typically stay with you for? So this is called like the customer lifetime value, basically. So if a coaching client stays with you for 6 months and they pay £500 a month, the customer lifetime value there is £3,000, just to give you an idea. So then you can watch this bit back. I'm just going to rattle through it. So then the event lifetime value is free tickets, times by your show up rate, times by your conversion rate, times by your average customer lifetime value, which gives you your event lifetime value. So like 100 free tickets, 50% show up rate, 10% conversion rate, and average customer lifetime value of £500 leaves you with an event lifetime value of £2,500. Now, if you know it's going to cost you more than £2,500 to put that event on, probably not worthwhile, unless you've got a load of stuff going on in the back end. I'll explain that something for another day. But if you know that it's only going to cost you a couple £100 to put that event on, or £200 up front to get you £2,500 in the back end, cool. So we know that this event's worthwhile putting on. Next up, booking the venue.